This is a podcast by WellHouse Church, where personal spiritual growth is fueled through a variety of practices rather than a single prescriptive time of devotion, where we discuss different spiritual practices that help us be more present with God, others, and ourselves. What's going on, practitioners?
What up?
We about to prepare you to pray, pray.
Yeah, the walking and the praying. Yes.
The thing that you do when you walk and you pray.
Yes. Yeah. We're about to prepare you to practice
prayer
walking.
So we got a thing, though.
Yeah, we're trying something new. We want to let y'all know, or like we want y'all to let us know if you like this or not. We appreciate the artistry
of mixology.
Well, of enjoying a nice beverage in general. So on Pints and Perspective, we highlight that our
With
love
beer.
of beer
Yeah.
with that. But sometimes, and I genuinely feel this way, like on my back porch with a cocktail, looking over the water, like at our grandmother's, like looking over the water, like these experiences can be good.
They can be.
And obviously there's like, as much as there's stigma with anything, there's a little bit of stigma with alcohol and Christians.
Sure.
And so like we're aware of that, but we do our very best not to abuse alcohol.
We try our best, yeah.
And we talk about it a lot, right? We've done a series on Christians and alcohol and Let's Talk. Like we've had that conversation. In there we talk about don't abuse alcohol. Like, so we're trying something. We enjoy cocktails, and oddly enough, Clayton really enjoys cocktails, and he made this literally, like he invented this recipe.
This is an original cocktail, and hopefully one day it will become known as a modern classic because it is a riff on a classic.
Yep.
It's a riff, a variation on a mojito.
Yep.
I love a good mojito in the summer. It's summer right now. It's hot.
Yep.
A good mojito is always great when it's hot.
We got wings cooking on the pit outside.
Yeah.
Like
this is just a really good summer cocktail, just a mojito in general.
Yep.
The story behind this, though, is kind of funny. So, like, my brain, a part of my self-care is, like, learning about cocktails and practicing with the mixing and the artistry there, and then some of the molecular things that are happening.
Yeah.
And so, like, learning about all that is a part of my self-care. And so, like, my brain's constantly thinking about it when it's not thinking about anything else.
Yeah.
And I woke up one morning, and in that, like, state of sleep where you're not totally asleep, but you're also not totally awake either.
Yep.
The name of a cocktail, that's it. This is all I got.
Just the name.
The name of a cocktail is all I got.
Okay.
A hopajito.
A hopajito.
And then it was weird enough that it woke me up. And I was like, what the junk is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I ain't never heard that before.
Yeah.
I never seen that before.
Yeah.
What is it? And so I started detailing it out in my brain. And I was like, sounds like a mojito, right? Mm-hmm. So it has to be a mojito base. But when I think hops, I think IPA.
Yeah.
When I think IPA, recently, it's been the Double Down. The St. Arnold's Double Down. It's just a quintessential IPA.
It is a very, very good IPA. As someone who is a self-proclaimed hophead.
Yeah. It is a quintessential.
Like when I'm drinking craft beer, unless Clayton just refuses to let me, I'm always drinking IPAs.
Yeah. So here we have the second ever made.
Well, second and third,
right? But I made them at the same time.
Yeah.
So the second and third ever made hopajitos.
And I have never tried.
He's never tried this. This is going to be his first time. And I have to say, I've come up with a lot of drinks in my day, some that were good, some were bad. This is probably the best one I've ever come up with.
You're 22. Yeah. In my day.
This is probably the best I've ever made.
All righty. Well,
So
let's
cheers,
give it
bud.
a try. Cheers. That is delicious.
I like it.
That is like, yeah, the hophead in me is going crazy.
I thought it would be really interesting with the herbs of the mint.
Yeah.
Right? With the bitterness of the lime.
Yeah.
Kind of interacting with the hops and the Centennial specifically in the Double Down.
Yeah.
But the Double Down is really well balanced, so you get a lot of sweetness from the malt. I don't know.
It works.
It just clicked, and I was like, this could really work.
It works.
You know, a classic mojito is topped with club soda or seltzer. This is topped with IPA instead. That's the only difference. But it changes it enough that it needs a new name, right? Like,
oh yeah,
this is not a mojito.
This is not a mojito.
But it changes it enough that it needs a new name. And beer cocktails are a thing that aren't really well explored.
Yeah, that is really good.
And the way it reacts with the Plantation 3-star is really interesting because it brings out some fruit notes.
I dig it. I like it. So we're going to try this, and we've got some ideas about doing some daily content that we're potentially going to experiment with doing what we're going to call daily Vespers. It's just like in the evening, one cocktail and like a drop of spiritual formation that we're going to put out on social. So if you like where we're headed with the content, let us know. If you don't like it, also let us know, because if you don't tell us, we're going to do it.
Yeah.
So...
And like we said last week, you guys are the realist.
Yep.
So give us feedback.
Yep, for sure. Straight up.
So prayer walking.
Prayer walking. I was going to ask you, do you ever just like go prayer walking through like Total Wines or the massive specs in downtown?
No, I don't do that.
Maybe you should.
That would actually be an interesting thing.
Maybe you should, just to see what happens.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I've done that. Like not in a liquor store,
not in a liquor store,
but like in a store that I frequent often. Like as I walk through, just
make me sound like an alcoholic. Like I go to Total Wine.
No.
Like I went to the liquor store for the first time in like a month today. Like,
yeah. Well, how much? But how much did you spend?
30. Not even like $18.
Oh, how much did you spend the last time you went to the liquor store?
Like $3.50.
Yeah, no wonder you don't have to go to the liquor store very often.
When I go, I load up. Like I only go when I have to restock my back bar.
Well, that's the deal. We don't live near Total Wine.
No.
And so, and like, if you're gonna buy alcohol, like that's the
Total Wine's the place to go.
That's the best place.
At least in Texas, right? Like,
or at least
in our
Houston,
area.
Yeah. And so we have to trek into the city, because we don't technically live within the city limits of Houston. No. We have to trek into the city to make it happen.
And I actually don't even go into Houston. I go to Webster.
Yeah, I go to Houston. I go to Memorial, but
yeah.
I got to be over there a lot for other stuff. So, anyways, prayer walking.
When was the last time you went on a prayer walk, like a genuine prayer walk?
This morning.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I do it all the time. Like prayer walking is like a thing that I do. And specifically, I got introduced to a thing called Bless Our Home, or Bless Every Home. Sorry. And it's a like a resource. You can find it online. Churches can buy it, and everyone in your congregation gets a thing, like gets a login. And what they do is they have color codes. So like when you've met your neighbor, you change the color. When you've prayed for your neighbor, you change the color. When you've invited your neighbor to church, you change the color. And when you've shared the gospel with your neighbor, you change the color. And it's a way to track, like, and encourage people to do like evangelism and like be a good flipping neighbor. Well, we're like in a new house for me. Like we just sold our house and we moved. And so we're in a new place. So I took the dog for a walk this morning and went on a prayer walk. Like just, and as I was walking past new neighbors, I was praying for the homes.
Wow.
Yeah. I used to do it when I'd take my kids on walks in our old neighborhood. Like I would go.
So prayer walking is a thing that you do fairly often then.
Well, yeah. And it ties into Labyrinth.
Right. It can. It totally can.
Or they're
Like,
adjacent.
yeah.
They're adjacent. And so, yes, I like to walk, and I do a lot of prayer walking.
The last time I went on a genuine, dedicated, this is why I'm going on this walk is to pray, was when I was living overseas.
Yeah, so I don't do that very often.
Like you dedicate a walk for prayer?
Yeah. What happens is I find excuses to walk in order to pray. But rarely do I just go trekking down the road with no agenda other than to pray.
Yeah.
For me, it's just one of those things. It's like
you have to walk anyways.
Like, well, when Paul says pray without ceasing,
yeah,
it's like, yeah, just finding any kind of way you can to pray. And that's why I say all the time I love Adele's book and all the way that she breaks these down.
Because it's building up your tool belt.
Well, yeah, that's the deal. It's giving you more resources that you can use.
Yeah, to actually pray without ceasing.
Right. And so so prayer walking is something that I do pretty regularly. And I don't think that's going to change anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, I do, like we said, like I've started doing this labyrinth prayer.
Yep.
So I have, in a way, am doing prayer walking.
Yep.
But
it's not the same.
It's not the same.
So let's talk about what prayer walking is so that we can talk about the difference between prayer walking and labyrinth.
Yeah.
So the definition of prayer walking, according to Adele Calhoun, is prayer walking is a way of physically walking with Jesus through places, hospitals, home, businesses, churches, schools, playground, housing projects, service agencies, counties, countries, etc., that you are concerned about. From the vantage point of proximity, prayers for the kingdom to come are offered to God. So the difference is labyrinth is specifically about your own pilgrimage. This is a very
This is for
selfless.
Other people.
Yeah, you're praying for other people.
Yeah, prayer walking in and of itself is altruistic.
Very much so.
And I don't know why my brain went here. Maybe because I have an association from something we did when we were
kids in youth group.
Yeah,
I remember that. Yeah,
I have an association with CCC,
right,
and prayer walking, and also God of the City by Chris
Blue
Tomlin.
Tree.
No,
Chris Blue Tree did it first.
Oh, they did.
Blue Tree did it first, and then Chris Tomlin remade it.
Yeah. Well, I go to the Chris Tomlin version.
Yeah, I'm a 90s kid. I know the real one. I'm OG, bro. Chris, you don't get that one, bro.
Yeah. Well, Chris shouldn't get a good father either because he didn't write that.
Yeah. Well, there's so many that he didn't write and he just remade.
And he gets all the popularity for it, but whatever.
Yeah.
I still love Chris Tomlin. Like, don't hear me.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I love Chris Tomlin. It's just a lot of his big hits aren't his.
Well, he didn't write them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yes, prayer walking is, in your words, altruistic in nature. It absolutely is. When you go on a prayer walk, you're not praying for yourself. You're praying for
the surrounding. Yeah,
whatever's happening. So Adele mentions hospitals. I do this whenever I have to go into a hospital to visit people. I got to walk anyways.
Yeah.
So as I walk by rooms,
you're praying for each room.
I'm praying for each room. And I always try, anytime I enter into a hospital, I always try to leave a different way than I came if I know the hospital so that I can pray for other rooms as I'm walking by.
Yeah.
And what happens is sometimes these prayer walks turn into like conversation starters, and you actually get to meet someone and pray with them, not just for them, but with them. I've done it in coffee shops.
Yeah. You ever done it in a bar?
I haven't done it in a bar, but only because I don't go to bars that often.
Yeah.
My favorite bars, there's really no way to do it.
When you're walking to the bar to go get a drink. Oh, but
my favorite bars,
they come to you.
They come to me. Yes, I'm a lazy bar person.
My favorite bar is I go to the bar to get drinks.
Yeah, no.
I'm not lazy.
No, my favorite bar has servers.
Yeah.
Or one of my favorite bars. Like the bar that I go to, like if I know that I'm going to go out one night, I'm going to this bar.
Yeah.
And so, yes, that does happen. But I've done it in coffee shops because like I'm a Starbucks person. Not like if there were a better coffee shop like around, I would go. But like we don't have one, and so I have to default to Starbucks. I actually don't think that the Starbucks coffee is that good.
It's not. It's okay.
They burn their beans. I'm just saying. Yeah. But it's hard to beat when you're a rewards member that you get free black coffee. Mm-hmm. And so I can go in there for $3 and spend an entire workday with free coffee and protein shakes.
Yeah.
And bars. Like I can just go in there and work an entire day. It didn't cost me anything. They have good Wi-Fi. Like I can edit content. I can upload content. I can study and prep for content. I can meet people. And as I have to go back and forth to get my free refill, you can prayer walk. I've done it in restaurants as I walk to the bathroom. I'm trying to think of other places. I have done it in the grocery store. Mm-hmm. That's a pretty easy one if you kind of can go pretty leisurely through the grocery store. If you're kind of in a hurry, it doesn't happen. And I haven't done that one in a long time because of COVID. I get all my groceries delivered, so I hadn't done that one in a while. But if you're on your list and you're like, okay, next on the list is this, and it's 3 aisles over, you know where it is, you can begin to pray for people as you walk by.
Yeah. That would be hard for me in the grocery. I hate the grocery store. I'm like, let's get in, get out. Like, I hate the grocery store. I'm like...
Yeah, but you're there anyways, and you got to walk anyway.
Zoom. Like...
Yeah, but as you're zooming, can you not pray for people? What are you doing as you zoom past people?
Trying not to hit people because I'm walking fast.
Well, slow down a millisecond and pray for them as you walk past them. Mm. And don't cut them off. Like, don't cut them off.
Well, I don't do that. I still am courteous. It's just I want to get out. I hate the grocery store.
I will also say, when I was, it's not 100% apples to apples. It's not 100% prayer walking. And Adele has this piece here. She says that the desire of prayer walking is to align myself while walking in particular places with Christ and his intercession for the kingdom to come. For Adele, prayer walking in this specific, like in what she's looking for, is that it's about the kingdom. Mm-hmm. And specifically the kingdom to come.
Right.
Remember, we did grow up in fundamentalism.
Yeah.
And I thought that the whole goal of this life was to live my life with as least sin as possible so that I could get to heaven. That is not the goal of the New Testament. Come on, sorry, guys. We're being joined by our guest, Onyx, our special guest, Onyx, my dog.
And he loves
the goal is not for you, the individual, to get to heaven.
Yeah.
That's not the goal of the New Testament.
No.
That's not the goal of the Old Testament. That's not the goal of the narrative of Scripture.
No.
The goal of the narrative of Scripture is to bring heaven back to earth where it was supposed to be until we screwed it up.
Yeah.
This whole idea that we're supposed to float away to heaven and heaven's the end goal, that ain't it, bro.
Yeah.
For Adele, prayer walking is about praying for the kingdom to come here and now, for individual people that you are passing to experience pockets of the kingdom of heaven.
Absolutely.
You can
yours do that. Is the kingdom now and forever. Amen.
You can do that while you're driving.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
when I used to drive to Baylor every Monday, you pass so many people in traffic. There is ample opportunity to be praying for people.
Yeah.
I mean, just ample opportunity. And if you run out of people next to you, look in your rearview mirror and count cars.
Yeah.
You can do, quote unquote, prayer walking in a number of different ways. It doesn't have to just be walking. You can take a posture of praying for kingdom come in a lot of different ways. I would even say if you work in an office building, I don't know, I wish I had a stat for how many people at this point have actually went back to work in an office.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I don't know. I know a ton of people that just didn't. They never went back.
Yeah.
And like have no intention of going back. I don't know how many people that is, but if you do go to an office, you can pray as you walk from your car to your office building for those that you're passing. And even if you don't know the person, if you park in a parking garage, you can pray over the cars of that the people are going to drive.
Yeah. Dude, you were shedding like crazy.
So in this, we've talked about a lot of ways you can do prayer walking. What are you praying for? You're praying for kingdom come. So you're praying that people experience revelation. You're praying that people have theophanies. You're praying that people would be imminently and evidentiarily aware of the grace of God, the comfort of God. You're praying that people would experience in a genuine and tangible way the love of God. You're praying that the grace and love of God that you've experienced be upon every person that you're praying for. That is kingdom come.
Yeah.
The Spirit, once it's manifested within an individual, will do the rest.
Yeah.
Our goal here is that the individual person, whoever they are, no matter sexual orientation, gender identity, baggage, brokenness, no matter, our doctrines do not hinder the person right before us. Your goal in prayer walking is to pray one thing, that individual, no matter who they are, what they do, or where they've come from, that they experience the love and grace of God the way that you have.